Hi there. Welcome to the Sunday stream for the Patreons. This stream, I'm wearing the goggles, so it means that we're going to go to the fast boat racing, and we are going to look at the SailGP. So as usual, we're gonna go through the situation with the boat models, uh, watch how it unfolds over here. And if possible, we'll also look at the situation from the umpire app, how they are going, how they saw the situations. Now, also, we're gonna go into the details of it, looking the rules, and just seeing what exactly the situation is about and how it unfolds. Okay, um, let's start it. I got here the I have here the let me show you so the agenda. So it's a backlog of the things I haven't been maybe posting these things for quite a while. So there's a quite a list of the interesting things I got. So I don't think we're gonna cover all of them, but I tried to sort them out in the list that I think are interesting ones. And we're gonna start with the latest events, which is Sydney, Auckland, and I think there's some situation in Dubai. So as always, you can vote for whatever topic is interesting for you. If you're watching it on the Patreon stream, feel free just to join this early Albatross plan. But if you don't want to, eventually it will make to the social media, so you can see it on the see the rewatch later on YouTube, or check the Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitch, Kick. What else? I think these are the most common ones that I use. All right. So let's dive into it. So the first thing that I want just to cover is actually a situation from quite a while ago. It's from Dubai race, but I thought it was very good example of Dylan Fletcher and GBR team is showing a very good maturity in handling the tight situations and really playing the game really well. Very mature, very good communication, and it was situation between the GBR and the USA. I believe it was in the finals. So if we look now at this, so right, I plan to show this game, this situations using the SailGP insights, but for some reason I cannot see. It just doesn't play for me. So if any of you experienced to watching it post race, let me know, because it just seems to be that it should be working. But I think we'll have to fall back and watch the videos. I think that's maybe what will be missing. Of course, the umpire app and view from from the boats. But well, it is what it is. That was day 2. So we're gonna go now 1 hour 16. There we go. So that's the, I think, the how the situation develops. So this is already the last turn around the mark and going to the finish over here. Kiwi finish first, but now there is a fight for the last place between the USA and GBR. So as they finish, this is and this is the example that I want to share. Let's look at it now. There we go. This is GBR entering the zone, closing the gate, and avoiding the collision. And the umpires call that penalty USA. They need to go behind GBR, so GBR wins. Okay. What happened here and why this situation, I think, to me shows a really good maturity and good, really, way of handling the situation. Obviously, they were not really fast foiling at this situation. I believe that even GBR was in H2, so 2 hulls in the water. But don't know how this communication would actually, how this would be in the fast speed foiling mode, but nevertheless, this is, I think, good example and why I think I start to really pay attention now to Dylan Fletcher and Hannah Mills. I think they are really starting to form a very, very good team. But let's jump into the situation. So now, let's say that would be GBR and that would be USA. They're approaching the mark. So the mark over here. And now they need to round and come to the zone. The wind is coming from here. Now, it's not going to be to the size of it. So if we look at the rules, let me close these things. We can look at the definition of zone, and zone definition is the area around the mark with the 50 meters. So 50 meters with a F50, so it's about three boat lengths. So I'm obviously now here in this small space I have on the table. Not gonna get close to it, but let's imagine that the zone is somewhere over here. So two boats come over here, and then I think here the rule 18 plays. Rule 18 tells us that when the boats are not overlap, the boat that has not reached the zone at this moment shall thereafter give mark room. So that's very simple rule, and basically this is exactly the same rule that we have in the new edition of 2025-2028 rules. There is some podcast coming on my AI podcast coming on this topic. You can always check. I think maybe not the best way sometimes how the AI just basically describes this the concept of the rules, but nevertheless I'm listening it through, so there is nothing there which is fundamentally or actually wrong there. So check it out and this is the new way how this rule is interpreted compared to how it had it previously in the previous years. So when the boats are not overlap, the first one in the zone got the mark room. Now, back to this game. In this situation, and I think it was quite clear, but of course there could have been a little bit different interpretation, but GBR went first in the zone. So they had the mark room, but there was quite a distance from the mark. USA was coming here with a speed, and basically for them, they had just to take a risk, because if they would, the option for them, the safe option to go around GBR and come over here, this is according to the rules, but that requires them just to have much faster speed differential with GBR, the red boat. So it means, and they were coming quite low, so I think probably they, in order to go them around, they might have even needed to jibe. If we go over here, yeah. So as you can see, the way they are placed right now, they would have to jibe and go around. So this is not an option for them. So if another option is just to slow down and go behind and just try to maybe to hook them and then go and finish. However, they just went all in, and it basically was a gamble. I think it was also in the interview that they just had nothing to lose. They went there and knew that they would be breaking the rule over here. Now, what happens here, and this is, I think, where Dylan showed how he is really well at defending that mark. As you can see, after he enters the zone, even though that there is a gap, he immediately after entering the zone closes the gap. So he starts to go clearly to the mark. So let's watch it once again. Mm. Okay, now he closes it. That's a good example of defending it. So he closes the gap, and now at the last moment, he makes an avoiding action. So if we look it over here, he closes the gap, and then here he avoids the collision. So he clearly also complies with the rule 14, which says that, where's the rule 14? No. That the boat shall not only avoid the contact with another boat, but also not cause contacts between other boat and not cause contact between the another boat and the object. So they don't continue to push them and have a contact so that they would have to avoid GBR, that USA has to avoid GBR and have a contact, but they do it in the very last moment, in the last possible moment. So closing the gate, closing the gap, and then opening it. So honestly, it's like also if we are just saying it, for putting in my coach hat here, not the umpire's hat, they sold this decision to umpires very, very clearly. And even I think in that situation, even if there would be an overlap when they enter the zone, right? So I think this was not the current situation, but if we imagine the new scenario when the boats are not overlapped, and it means that then the mark room is for the USA. This maneuver is also uh, safe as long as they do not really interfere with the course. So they're closing the gap, but at the same time giving the mark room at the end of the boat. So even if they were not sure if there was overlap and who of them had the mark room, I think it was a very good and mature, like, very smart move, basically trying to close the gap and then open it at the end, not trying to basically cause the contact or cause any issues. So brilliant. I think it was very well. It's very often, as you can see, that there is sometimes a very kind of not always a mature way of actually handling this markroom situation, especially at the high speed. And there are some penalties coming from some teams. You can see it also, some review of it in my on the channels. I have a couple of situations in the Instagram. But yeah, I think that was brilliant. I think it was well played. Yeah, let me know what you think. We can watch it once again now. Let me know. And now closing the gap, and avoiding the last moment. And for the umpires, it's very easy call and go behind. So absolutely fair game from both teams. USA had to take a risk, and GBR had to play. Okay, I think we are done this with this item. So if you like what you see, feel free to join any other early. Now we're gonna jump into the next one. So again, feel free just to comment if there's any of the topics that is interesting for you to see first, or you want me just to go through. Now we're gonna get a little bit more faster. I'm gonna put the goggles on and let's go to the Sydney final and late Australia penalty controversy. Although that may be actually, if, to be fair, quote unquote, it wasn't that late. It wasn't very late, but it could have come earlier just to give an advantage to Australia. Now, let's look at the situation. I think these insights are still not working. I have no idea. Let's see the Sydney. If Sydney is working, Celia. I don't know why it's not working. If anyone had experience with the SailGP insights just after the event, please let me know. I don't know why. Now, this is the situation how it that was seen on the umpire app. Obviously, now we just don't. It's not a very good resolution, but this is how the umpires saw it, and the call. This is where it happened, and I think it was how many seconds before the start? Mm, don't see it from here, but obviously, as you can see, this is probably about should be about like maybe 10, maximum 15 seconds before the start, and the penalty for that one came already after the start. So let's see first how it plays out, and then we'll discuss. I think that's the one, and that must be this final. So here it is. That's the first luff. 16 seconds to go. Now is the start. And the call for it is coming halfway to the mark one, so must be now how many seconds after? Now 10. So 3 seconds, 7 seconds. So all in all, about probably 20, 25 seconds late. And obviously that created a little bit of a controversy in the media. Media likes it, so we're gonna look at it, what it means. So first of all, let's look what the Aussies said about this. Um, put you. This is the brief with Lisa. Close this. Brief. Little too slow. Okay. Yeah, very, very clearly just said that yes, Tommy was tried to accelerate, and then they were slow to accelerate, and yeah, basically just saying like a kind of like their debrief was that it's a little bit too slow, and then let's see also what Tom Slingby says about it. And I think this is kind of like worth looking and discussing these things because apparently this one created quite a lot of reaction and media around, I think. But honestly, I think even the team which was at the receiving end, was Australia, was not, they clearly saw this situation. What's I say? Um, Second late turning up. Penalty come late. Admits it was late. It changed. And then he says that that's not the reason why they lost. And I think this is a very kind of like a clear analysis, which I also see it exactly the same way. If you also look at some pundits talking about, um, I think there is a quite a good podcast. I think if you want to listen to it, Yacht Racing Live podcast. I think they also do the reviews of the SailGP immediately after each uh, each event, and yeah, they basically just they put it in a very even blunt form, saying that everybody with their eyes would see that there is a penalty there, and I think again, unfortunately, we don't see since there is no insights. I think there is no clear. Maybe there is some kind of. maybe if there will be some replay over here, then you will see. But it was very clearly that overlap was established, and Australia was slow to react. It was a very thin overlap. So as you can see over here, so Canada opens up and then starts to close, hold, 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 hold. Now Australia just responded a little bit too late. So it was a very thin overlap, but I think from the cameras that you can later on see in the replay, if it's going to be over here. No replay over here, so probably will be at the very end. Yes, let's see. This is the replay. No, not the best angle actually, just to see how much of the overlap there were. I'm gonna now see if there is any replay for it under the at the end of the match. This is not a match, it's a race, but honestly, that's three boats medal race type of final is really good. It's almost like match because you either it's the first and the second or second and the third. There is always a fight. So it's a fleet race rules, but the match race tactics. There is an overlap, but they're just not showing the exact situation it was after. Yeah. So unfortunately, we'll try next time just to see if the insight will be working. I think I will try next time also just to make this Patreon stream like really early, immediately after the event. Maybe we'll just have then possibility to switch different cameras because as you can see on the SailGP Insights, you can have view from any from not from any camera, but from either bow or stern camera. Then you can a bit more clearly see overlap. But yeah, there we go. So what else was there? I think the commenters also were talking about it, that I think as we hear that their point of view was that it came late, but as an umpire, I think I must say that sometimes there are certain reasons and sometimes situations why we make the call a bit later, but it's better just still to make the right call even though it comes later. And as you say, that obviously Australia would be in a better position if they would receive this call a bit more early and have possibility to already fall back early enough and probably try to catch up again on the line, because I think if we look at the rules, let's look at the rules now here, how you can need to take the penalty. So penalties for OCS and okay, non-part two. This is not that one. Penalties for breaches of part two. So that was a breach of part two. It was the wind is coming from here. They're about to start like that. Canada and Australia. So Canada came here and opened, then closed and started to hold. And then Australia reacted quite late. Thin overlap, but still reacted quite late. So what is important over here in this kind of like this hook is basically so this is if the penalty comes, it's now came on Australia for the rule 11, which is part of part two in the pre-start. And once you get the penalty for it, for breaches, after, I think this is the rule which is applies there. So penalty for breaches of the rule in the pre-start or part two breaches for the boat on the same leg of the course after her starting signal and while inside the boundary, the penalized boat shall act immediately to reduce her VMG VMC until she is 20 meters behind the boat or boat involved in the accident. So obviously, if penalty for Australia would come immediately, they would be able to already position um, so that they would be already um, change the tactics so that they cannot take and fall behind Australia during the pre-start, but immediately after the starting signal, even if they're over here, they can already start falling after starting signal can start falling back 20 meters. And in this case, they could arrive to the mark with a already full speed because they have all leg one for actually accelerating back. And I think if it comes middle of the race, they basically arrive with the they only start taking it while they are approached to the mark one. So there's definitely an advantage of getting the penalty earlier, but it's as Slingsby said, it's not because that's why, not because they lost. And but having said that one, it's was good to observe a little bit of the social media frenzy. If you are in the, if you are not following yet Australian um, if you're not following the Australian social media guy, social media admin, I think he's brilliant. I like his way of handling that account and also with a sense of humor. Yeah, had this little gag at the SailGP umpires and having a wakey wakey song from the Wiggles. So it's a classic. So and but yeah, that was friendly, and I think the umpires obviously can take this kind of friendly friendly banter, so I think this is okay. But obviously, I think it was also interesting to see all kind of conspiracy theories that started to be appearing there, that there is some collusion between the umpires and SailGP, that they don't let the Australians win. So which is total BS. I mean, this is not how the umpiring works, and this is definitely not the event. But anyway, I think it created a good media publicity and everything. So and at the end of the day, it was not really a big kind of station, but just wanted to give my point of view on this as being also as an umpire and also knowing how these calls are made. Sometimes there is we strive to give the calls as soon as possible and actually already arrive at the decision, even like already prior, not prior to incidents, but already arrived to all the necessary fact prior to incidents. So immediately when there is incident, we already make a call. However, there is some reason sometimes just to double check, verify, especially if it's a final. And I think in here it was absolutely okay just to wait 20 seconds if they would just needed to clarify that they make the correct call, considering that it was a very, very thin, it was a very, very thin overlap, but it still was an overlap. Okay, I think enough of this one. Um, let's go to a few much more interesting situation. This one is less about the rules, but let's talk about the tactics. So when and why Canada exactly lost the final? And I think this is I think pretty much I think many and also pundits that also discussing, they agree that the moment for that decision was clearly a downwind downwind gate, leeward gate. So as you can see, this is the final, and we're going to look at it once again. This is the situation at the gate, and what Canada was arrived later, and the GBR arrived further. So now let's look at it through. I think it was second rounding. Now that's already finished. Yeah, I think that's where we're gonna play it out from here. So as you can see now, both boats are gonna be arriving to the downwind mark, and Canada has a really good lead. So deciding to choose the left side, and we often call the left is that when we look at the to the wind all the time, so that I prefer also, and then kind of advise like to the teams when there is some communications and the stuff, it's always good to keep the same side. So left is always left, right is always right, so you don't change it when you go upwind and downwind. So anyway, Canada wants to go left for whatever. I think there was also quite often that the left of the Shark Island was better. So anyway, they choose the right turn mark and go left, make a rounding. Okay, and now there is a call for the GBR. Do they follow Canada? And I think for that one, they would actually, if you need, you see that they would need also to soak to the mark, because I don't think they're laying there. So maybe if they get a puff, that would be there. So over here already from this position, it is very likely that GBR will jibe and go around the mark. Not 100%. I think still that if there is a puff coming, they might actually try to follow, especially if they also agree that the left side better. But this is a match race between these boats, and they know that if they will follow it with the same type of gap, most likely they're not going to catch up. So it is very easy also for Canada to predict that in the next couple of seconds, GBR will jibe. And then let's see also the communications we have between Hannah Mills and Dylan Fletcher. Brilliant communications. I think it's really good. It's still starting to work out, and I think that the guys from this podcast that I was showing to you, what was the name of it? Um, yeah, let me show this yacht racing podcast. They also, I think they had a very good analysis of this, how the communications start to be better and how it's different from actually the communication bit what was there with Ben. But let's look. I think now it's pretty much should be coming right now. Okay, so I now when I look over here, I think there was a chance of to have a lay to lay to the mark for GBR, but it would be probably enter tight, exit wide type of rounding of the right turn mark, but it maybe not what they want and what they do. Yeah, just we missed now the communication from from GBR. And as you can see how much time actually it took to Canada to react to this. So Canada is still going. I think for here it's already starts to be clear that very likely that GBR will jibe, but it's not really yet clear. And then GBR jibes now, and then that's 29 seconds. Let's see when Canada attacks. Okay, they attack. So probably they executed the attack about 8 seconds late or something like that, or 8 seconds after this job. And I think why I say it's 8 seconds late, because I think in this particular situation, the necessary communication would be is to, if they jibe, we attack. And then there is a call that they jibe, and then the boat, everybody on the boat knows that the attack is coming immediately. And honestly, I think even on this level of the caliber of the guys on SailGP, they probably would also think a step ahead, not really being reactive only what the boats are doing, but actually they could have considered making an early attack. However, it's very easy to do this in hindsight 2020. It's very easy to describe it, but basically this is something where you clearly see where that was a move. Just a few seconds later, attack is gave a strong advantage um, to GBR. So as you can see now, commenters say here that they're surprised that they did not turn a little bit sooner, and I think GBR is getting a yeah. So Hannah Mills actually just mentioned also now here, let's get to lay and see the option to split. I think that's again example of the good communication that they have with Dylan. And as you can see over here, it's gonna be a downwind, downhill from here to for Canada. They already now starting to lose. It's a different, they're sailing different winds and different pressure, and here is they already cross behind and being a port boat, and I think over here, as you can see, GBR got extremely lucky with this edge of the Shark Islands. I'm having another item over here for us to look at it. Actually, how this tactics with the and with this lift on the southwest of the Shark Island around over here, how it played out. But GBR was just lucky. I think they passed like really meters away from the restriction area, which was I think ended over here. And as you can see, it's just extremely like how painful like Canada is charging behind, and they need to pinch. And this was I think also just part of little bit part of luck is that they were able to, as you see, that they're not really laying GBR over here, and now they're getting a buff with a little bit of pinch and were able to mark them up. So if they would get into sedation, if they would need to do a couple of maneuvers, that would be definitely problematic over here. And I think now here also you hear on the comms, if you watch, I think honestly there is some great gems if you really want to hear about the communication. Sometimes there is extremely good gems coming from the watching the hot mic. Um, yeah, best hot mic'd moment. Okay, maybe this one was not extremely, but also in encouraging ways here, all the way like what did he say in Canada? all the gain here, guys, nothing to lose. So basically, especially when they're coming right now in this, and that was set probably around this position. So they're coming here and here, exactly what you can do from here for Canada. Everything will be a gain. I mean, or just nothing to lose, because if they just continue following GBR, they will lose, right? So basically, what Canada is just doing is that they're gonna go for a little bit earlier. Yeah, they were the first one to initiate the jibe. So they actually would let GBR go into the zone, and they're kind of hoping just to get into the send it a little bit more fast and be able, for example, to jibe back and meet them on the starboard. However, GBR was really lucky again in this pressure. They got the same puff and were even able to lay to the mark. So there was a couple of really, I think that's tacking like 100 meters away from that tricky corner of the from that tricky corner of the Shark Island, and after that one, still passing the passing the obstruction really within the meters next to the Shark Island, laying to the mark, and now getting that puff so that they can lay to the zone of the lay to the zone over here with without the jibe. I think this was, as you can see, if the wind would be a little bit more lighter from here, you can see if there would be no puff, Canada might have a possibility just to get the puff a little bit more earlier, jibe, and tug back and get, for example, the inside position over here. Or basically they would, I think from where it looks right now, they would have a next crossed somewhere about a couple of 100 meters away from the mark, so way before the zone. But now when there was a puff, GBR was able just to sail lower. And as always, this is a classic, the same boat as the others. So when you get a good puff, you're able to sail lower and then go around. So yeah, that was the third luck for the GBR over here. But I think also, I don't think they won because of the luck over here. It was a really brilliant communication and brilliant, I think, the chemistry now between Dylan, and I think he's really having a quite very nice and positive way of also leading GBR team on the race course. And I think he is just much more. I think their communication with Hannah is really great, because I think they're like really having a dialogue over there. Anyway, so yeah, that's my take on why the finals were won or lost in this way. So we're gonna now, before we move to the next topics, just being also on the Instagram or TikTok, if you think that there is if you think about it in a different way, and also this is first, I stream these things early to in the Patreon, so if you want to just check it, check this early Albatross membership there, and then if you prefer just to watch it at any time later, I think I put them almost all these videos on social media. So I think the best things for it to find is on the YouTube. When the summer starts, I'm gonna also gonna do some hopefully some discussions about the uh, races. So also we'll have a kind of like a possibility for you guys to bring your own situation. So it's on the Patreon boss BOSS, bring your own sailing situation. So we can also discuss it from umpire experience or coaching experience. We can look at it, what could be done differently, or how the situation was developed. But obviously, difficult for me to judge exactly because I'm not on the position, but we can look at the different scenarios. Hopefully, it will be useful. But let's go further. So we still have maybe a few situation that I maybe want to discuss in here, and then obviously we will leave the rest maybe to some other backlog of the items. So this was an interesting situation with the two pile-ups in Sydney, and obviously, I actually honestly did not check it carefully myself before the stream, so we will do it now together and then look. There was at the race 7, there was two. I think race 7 was day 2. There was a quite a nice pile up of the boats. Yes, I think it is coming over here. Very often on the leg 2 and then the rounding, you get a lot of, as the boats are very close, as you can see, very. Okay, let's first again watch it, and then I think that it's worth watching this pack of boats here. Okay, goggles on. Okay, looks quite busy. No collisions, and that's important, but looked quite crowded. And before we even go maybe in the details of it, I think kind of maybe worth also just to listen what Martin had to sail there and why it was some frustration about this situation. Let me see, drivers react. It's 10 minutes, 26 seconds. Okay, let's listen now. So saying that they thought that they had a file, so meaning that I think they actually were able to give a penalty, I think, to Italy in that case, but they were also frustrated that in a way that they, nobody was penalized and they were also doing what actually were supposed to do with a 14, but actually there is no penalty there. But let's look at it. So yeah, talking about the stupid collision, what's not their fault, but trying to avoid the collision, but getting the penalty points for it. And then again, considering that this one is, she kind of like talks about it as being kind of penalized again, even though that nobody else was penalized in that pile-up situation, but feeling that being penalized by not getting a penalty to another one. I think that's my kind of reading of it. But so obviously, regardless, of course, I would to say there is a certain frustration I could feel about that situation, and I think probably what it came up from is from here, from the yes, from this situation, which was in the practice race, Germany, Germany and Brazil. So Germany came on the port did not tag, and Brazil as a starboard boat just also had a collision with them. And I think maybe it's worth also just first, before we discuss the pile-up, is to look at what exactly the rules say about the collision, and why, again, not being in the umpire team, so I don't know how they thought there, but probably guessing what would be the thinking why the penalty points were uh, assigned to Brazil team, even though that in this situation they were a starboard boat. So we looked at it again, and this is the rule, pretty much the same as is used also in any other in many other fleet races and match races for non-high speed racing boats. So it's worth actually remembering that this interpretation is exactly the same. So anyway, that it says that a boat, so any boat, if you are a right of way or uh, keep clear boat, you need to avoid the contact with another boat, not cause the contact between the boats, and not cause contact between another boat and the object that should be avoided. So if you notice that this rule is a little bit different from the previous year, which was only talking about avoiding the contact, but now it's also talking about the not causing the contact. And this addition to the 25, the rule in this rule book is actually coming from the America's Cup and high-speed races, where it just worked very well. And now we are also bringing that, it's brought to the other all the other kind of areas, so it's a part of the standard call book. So what is maybe was worth discussion here, that right-of-way boat, or the boat which is entitled to the room or mark room, not need to act to avoid the contact until it's clear that the other boat is not keeping clear or giving room to mark room. So basically the rule says that if you are a right-of-way boat, you can delay, and it can be, let me open this rule over here on the separate window. By the way, that's how you can find it. So if you search for SailGP notice board, um, if you there you can find all the rules for SailGP if you want to actually get to be a little bit more on the nerdy side. So anyway, this is the rule about avoiding contact, and this what applies to the right-of-way boat. So if we look now what's happened over here, so we see that this is Germany. Yellow boat will be Germany now here. Green is Brazil, marks away, so in the middle of the course. So what happened is that Germany, as a right-of-way boat, or as a keep clear boat, did not keep clear, and there was a collision somewhere over here. So it was clearly that it was a penalty on Germany in that case, in that practice race. Germany had to keep clear, Rule 10, had to avoid port boat, no doubt. But the question is, what about the Rule 14? Why Brazil was also penalized with the points over here? So now let's look at the over here. How long does it take? How the situation develops? So Brazil is now keeping their course. 8. They started from 7 seconds. They're keeping, 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 keeping. Only now they start to avoid. So let's look at it once again. They keep this course. And now they start to avoid. So literally like seconds before, and there is a contact right now over here. So with all absolute kind of understanding of the Brazil was right away and did not, according to the rule, she did not have to react until she did not need to act to avoid the contact until it's clear that the other boat is not keeping clear. So it was very clear that the boat is not keeping clear, and there was a possibility for Brazil to tag away also earlier. I don't think it's a good idea to try to bear off as a starboard boat in this boat because it would be possible that if normally the safe way to avoid would be for this boat for Germany is to tack, obviously, because if there is a contact, this is much more safer contact, but you never know that it might be that they would want to cross behind. And in this case, if in the last moment they actually will decide to cross behind, even though that they are managing to do these things, trying to avoid the contact by Brazil green boat over here could be actually very disastrous. So normally, if there is a contact, this is the usually the safest way to kind of avoid the contact because if there and what basically started to happen, they started to tack and Brazil tacked back. However, just according to the rules, they had all the time and all possibility in the world is just to tack earlier. As you can see now over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even though here, so that they were holding their course for quite a long time, and there was possibility for them to tack away earlier because it was very clear that the Germany was not keeping clear. I think you can see it's now they're holding 2, 3, 4. Now they start to laugh also in the last moment. Anyway, but obviously it's a very frustrating situation. I think it's a very, of course, on these high-speed boats, it's a very high adrenaline, high passion, and of course it's a very frustrating thing for Brazil just to get the damage points before. So basically in SailGP you get the amount of damage points. I wonder if it's actually it's a good question. Let me check where is the uh, I think there was some kind of like a protocol there for deciding what are the damage points, how they are assigned. Scoring a boat. Could it be this one? Appendix Appendix A22. Let me. I'm quite curious now to find myself how many points are how actually the points for the contact are decided because there are a number of the okay, no, that was a different thing. Is that we're talking about how they score the points. Um, if some parts are not provided. Yeah, usually this is maybe not a part of the rules, but I think it has to be on the notice board. The rule 57 regarding the new rule regarding the damage. Okay, let me just bear with me for a while. Maybe I'll find exactly the points. No, it's not this one. Because I remember I saw some kind of like it was almost like this algorithm which tells about how. Yeah, policy on the contact and damage for. Yes, that's exactly what I was looking here. Uh, so I'm gonna get like a little bit more now nerdy and try to understand and talk through exactly how the points are assigned. So umpire up shows contact. Okay, so this is actually where the umpires see it first. Hearing open, tech team investigates. Tech team sees what there is a contact. Hearing proceeds based on the contact unless tech team confirms no sign of contact. Okay, so basically, if no sign of contact, even though that umpire up shows it, then yeah, then there is nothing, no sign of contact. Stop there. Is rule 14 broken? So no, but in this kind of situation that we looked there in here, the rule 14 definitely was broken. By whom? Was there damage? No. If there is actually no damage, 2 points for the boat that broke the rule, and if they broke the rule 14, minimum 2 points for the other boat if they broke the rule. So basically, the keep clear boat in this case, if there would be no damage, if there would be a contact but no damage, and rule 14 is broken. So this boat, Germany would receive 4 points, and the other boats, which would receive, in this case, they would receive 2 points. Okay. Was the boat seriously damaged? I think it was like clearly. I think there was the bowsprit of Brazilian boat was broken. It was It was a serious damage. So we can look at it also. What is the definition of the serious damage um, compared to damage? So we need to get the call book. Now I'm getting quite nerdy about the rules, but yeah, bear with me. I think this is sailing case book. So this is the case book. I think it's still the old one. I don't think there was a new one published. I need to double check, but serious damage. Case 141, interpretation of the term serious in the phrase of serious damage. I think it's worth also for the sailors to know, even if you're racing not SailGP, but any other boats, because you can also, there are certain, go like that. So it's important also to know what is that if you're in the protest hearing and there's a discussion about the serious damage, well, there is a certain number of rules which actually refer to serious damage. Then you, once you know these things, you will be able to discuss and to actually prove if the damage was serious or not, if you know what exactly is included. Okay, so case 141, interpretation. Is there a special meaning in the racing rules of the term serious when it's used in the phrase serious damage? So no, the term serious is not defined in the rule. So the terminology doesn't include that term. So in that, you know that the term is usually, if it's italic, then it's actually defined in the definitions. But what is important, these are the consider some of the items which actually might lean towards giving an opinion that this is the serious damage. So did the damage reduce the safety of the crew? Did the damage, so here, I don't know. It's difficult to know if the bowsprit was reduce the safety of a crew while sailing this boat. Did the damage adversely impact the boat sailing performance in significant way? I would say that this was a clearly answer yes, because if you are losing in the like this bowsprit is broken, for sure. Will the cost of repairing of damage be significant amount relative to the market value of the boats? Well, it's not a cheap boat, but I don't know. I'm not a tech team, so I don't cannot say about it. But the tech team will be able just to clearly say that one and provide that information to the hearing for the umpires. Will the value of the boat after repairing the damage be significantly diminished? Maybe, probably not. I think they already been through quite a lot in this kind of situation, but definitely number two is here. So based on this, um, boat is seriously damaged. So if there is eight, if it's not seriously damaged, so it would be that this boat would get 8 points and this would get 4 points. And serious damage, it means that this boat will get 12 points and this boat will get 6 points. Can they? Um, yeah, okay. So basically, can the boat then after that one, after they applying this point, can the boats that did not break the rule 14 compete in the next race? And very often, the boats that did not break the rule, if you really clearly say that they couldn't do anything. So that, for example, if they're just, this would be a example of that situation, that this boat tries to bear away and then in the last moment loses a little bit steering, and instead of crossing behind makes the contact. What can this boat, as a starboard boat, do in this situation? Well, nothing, because if the boat just is ramming towards you, although that you think that there nothing you can do. But then would she be able to compete in the next race? No. Then the can the guilty boat compete in the next race? Yes. If this cannot compete because there is a hole here, but this boat can compete, approval to sail withdrawn by OA for guilty boat based on notice of race SR. So basically, I think you would, my understanding, I would need to read that one, notice of race and SR, but maybe now we'll just move somewhere else. But basically, I think you would just withdraw this boat. But if both cannot race, then there is nothing. And then there is also a deduction for the so certain amount of the points that you get in the certain amount of points that you get during the race will also affect on the season points. Yeah, but I kind of, maybe it was not coming through very well now, the quality of the, now I can see that it's actually for some reason really a bad resolution here. But anyway, uh, if you're interested, you can just go to SailGP notice board and find that one in the umpire documents and policy on the contact and damage. Whew, okay, just took quite a detour now into the rules. Okay, bear with me now here. Let's finish. I think I'm planning maybe just to discuss this two more items here, and then we'll call it a day for today. Um, Now, that's what we're discussing, and there was actually already quite a frustration that was coming that you could read from Martin's press interview, and now that's what happened the day before. They were penalized with the points, even though that it was kind of like clearly they were starboard boat. Now, what happened over here? Let's watch it once again. Okay, so let's have the rewind and have over here. So let's say that would be France. This would be Brazil. They're coming on port. Now we have, let's say, Canada. I think Canada is coming over here, and where is, and Italy is somewhere far on port. So the position is just like that, but Italy is quite far. Now you can see it from here. Here's Italy, and here the other boat. Not sure why there is actually pretty bad resolution now here. Let me restart the. Is it better now? No. Why? It's bizarre. Bizarre. Anyway, now we have here in the boat. So let's look now what develops. So as Canada comes over here on the starboard. Oh, sorry, that was actually wrong. So France was here, and then Brazil was there. Canada, starboard. Canada starboard over here. France port boat needs to keep clear, even if we forget about these things. France is turning now here and keeping clear. Um, Now, as they arrive into this situation, France is the windward boat, and this is the leeward boat right of way, Brazil. In here, Rule 19, as you can see, applies because what is obstruction? Obstruction is an object that the boat couldn't pass without changing course substantially if she was sailing directly towards it, and one of her hulls from it. Blah, blah, blah. However, a boat racing is not an obstruction to other vessels unless they are required to keep clear from her and they are not approaching the starting line when the first leg is the reaching leg. Okay, this addition is purely for the SailGP and high-speed racing rules. Rules 22, it's a capsized boat and etc. So it doesn't apply here. but basically boat is not an obstruction unless there are other boats are required to keep clear of it. So now France needs to keep clear from this boat from Canada. So this is an obstruction for Canada, for France. And now if we look at the rule 19, okay, let's keep this one. When the boats are overlapped, the outside boat shall give the inside boat the room between her and obstruction. Let's skip this out unless not going to the details. So since this is an obstruction for France, as we determined, rule 19 requires, because these boats are overlap, to give room for France to be between her and obstruction. So in this case, clearly France can go, and even if she is not able yet to complete her jibe to starboard, still in this case, Brazil already needs to give her room. So what happens is that the Brazil, and after that one, France becomes the starboard, but of course she will need initially, according to the rule 15, give the room for this boat to keep clear. However, because she's sailing within her mark room that she's sailing between in her room at the obstruction, she will be exonerated for breaking that rule. So anyway, when there is some situation like that, two port boats coming and there's a starboard coming, this is an obstruction, so you need to, as a port boat, to give room if this boat chooses to pass, it on this side. Oh, sorry, if this boat right away chooses to pass it on this side. And of course, you can also loft the boat and choose to pass here, but then you need to give room for France to also to keep clear, as the green boat will choose to pass behind. So if you're not here, we can assume that she chooses to pass it on this side. So then it needs to give room for France to keep clear. Okay, let's see how she does it. No, no technical problems. Sorry. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. Fix the problem. Okay, let's see. Okay, so now it looks like it's tight racing, but there is no issue over here. And now we have this situation that Canada is over here, Brazil jibed, France is over here. So basically they all kept clear from Canada here, which was on starboard, and gave all the necessary rooms. And now over here we have Italy approaching on the port tack. And let's watch first this situation without the stop. I'm even gonna make it a little bit bigger for you guys to see. Okay. Now, when we approach over here, now we have the same, a lot of starboard boats coming here, port boat Yeah, Italy needs to keep clear as we're approaching like that. What is important over here is that if this boat is, there's a, what rules apply between this? This is rule 10, obviously. So port boat needs to keep clear, yellow needs to keep clear of green, rule 10. Now there is a tiny aspect over here that we need to see. So now when this boat right away is changing the course, she needs to give room for the port boat to keep clear if initially she was clear, keeping clear before. So what happens now is that Brazil jibes becomes right of way. So rule 15 applies. Let me show you rule 15. When the boat acquires right of way, she shall need she shall initially give the other boat room to keep clear. Unless, let's forget about unless part. It's not relevant here. So she needs initially, when she becomes starboard, she needs to give room for this boat to keep clear. And then after that one, watch what happens with the course of Brazil. So Brazil is changing, 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 holding, changing, holding, holding, changing, changing. And from here, without the umpire app, is a little bit difficult to see what is the reaction and of the Italian boat and when exactly she becomes uh, starboard right of way boat when she crosses it. But basically, when this boat jibes, she needs to give room for this boat to keep clear. And every time she changes the course, and there was a tiny, tiny change of course over here, which I think might have affected. She is now 15 on and changing, changing, holding, and now avoiding. So becoming starboard, 15 on, changing, 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 then small changing, then holding, and then avoiding. So basically, I think the frustration and probably also I would understand Grail over here, Martin Grail over here is that they would want to see the penalty given to yellow boat over here. Uh, but I think in this situation, again, I was not part. I don't have all the information to call if the umpires decide if yellow boat did everything what they could and they reacted fast enough. So as umpires, we would also want to see is that the yellow responds immediately when it's just when actually there's a collision course and when there's a situation. So when she's jibes, now there is no yet collision course. She needs to give room for this boat to keep clear. She is now changing, changing, changing. Now there is a collision course. So from this moment, this boat, yellow boat, needs to do everything she can just to avoid or to keep clear. And now what they did, and I think at this moment, this boat was avoiding the collision. So yeah, again, I would leave it to the umpires over here because they have the all the app just to decide if yellow could have reacted early. To me, it looks probably not because it was very, very kind of very short period of time. First it's 15 on, then it was 16 on, then it was a short period of time when green was holding, and I think at this moment Italy was already avoiding. Let's see. It's a bit unfortunate angle, but I think Italy is already at this moment reacting. So if you look at it from what I see, is going, and bearing off, doing everything, turning. Yeah. So basically, I think in here it's probably they call the rule 15 on this boat because Again, I cannot say 100% because I don't have an umpire app access now here. For some reason, it's not working on the SailGP inside. But basically, from seeing just the top of the main sail, I think they started to avoid. And then Brazil at the very end taking an avoiding action, which they did exactly very well to according to the rule 14. And I think I know it was frustration compared to the previous day, but they did exactly what they need to do. Now, obviously, while doing these things, they are becoming also overlapped, I think, with France. So now they're doing a very sharp turn to avoid this boat. And by changing the course, they also, this is rule 16, they need to, when the right of way boat, now we have it over here. This is right of way to this boat. And when she is changing the course, and she needs to give room for this boat to keep clear, and Quentin reacted very well. Much in time, reacted, and Brazil also avoided collision. They also kind of, when they piled up over here, then they did not continue. They went bear off, so again complied with the 14 on here, and actually complied with the 16. They gave room for this boat to keep clear, and then because this boat was doing everything, they just bear off and then gave more room for this boat to keep clear. Okay. Uh, that's one pile up. That's a lot of things here. And as you can see also as umpires, all of these rules you need just to be applying very much in this. That's why you usually have several also umpires working in the team, and each one works on each own boat and we communicate. Let's see what is the second pile up at the mark. Let's see how they all arrive here. So as you can see now, they all arrive a bit difficult to see if Canada was the first, if she's overlapped with other boats. It looks like she might be overlapped, but without it, let's say that all of this boat, France, Brazil, and Italy and Canada overlapped, just for the sake of the argument. So then the mark rounding would be is that because now they all kind of enter the zone over here, is that then it would be France, Brazil, we often actually when I'm umpiring, I'm actually talking about how to round what it would be the order of the boats to round here. So if I would be looking here and I would determine that the first pack of 4 boats were overlapped, so then you would actually say that the order of the rounding would be France, Brazil, Italy, Canada, and then I will deal with that back later. But I usually, even when you're umpiring, you already will prepare in the same France, Brazil, Italy, Canada, and then you see how they exit there. So in this case, as you can see, because Canada had quite a good amount of speed, even it's very possible that also when they, at least it looked like to me that they had the mark room over Italy, because I don't think they were overlapped, and probably they were overlapped with that one, but they still were, because they were fast, they were able to cross ahead and give the mark room to the other boat because they didn't affect the other boat. So there's no problem. So Canada, okay. But then remember what we were talking is that France, Brazil, Italy. So we look now over here and how they are exiting. France, Brazil, Italy. So now they're living in the same order. But also, even if I would be just even calling, I think I would call the other boats. So if I would go here, I would say France, Brazil, Italy, Canada, Denmark, Spain. Now France, mark given, Brazil, mark given, Italy, and all the others. So Denmark was able to gain a lot of things on the outside. So sometimes you can see it also, it's just the same applies also to the other races, not in high-speed boats, but even if you are just sometimes sailing around, you might get fast away, especially in the high-speed boats when you can foil around and you cannot make too tight turns on the foils over here, because I think they were going in H1 or H2 even around the marks, and Denmark and Spain were foiling around. Listen, yeah, there was this one was quite busy. Okay, we covered this one. Let's cover then the last one maybe for today is the tactics with the southwest of Shark Island. So Shark Island is an interesting feature, and again, people have different points of view on actually on the Shark Island in the being in the middle of the course. I think no, where's yes, here it is. That's the racing area. So again, if you listen to some people, they have a really mixed sort of feeling about actually making a course which has, well, you need to pass on two sides of the island, but I think it is great for spectators. It is quite special, so yeah, why not? But looking at the, yeah, and again, based on opinion, just check this Yacht Racing Live podcast if you want. I think they have also shared some of their thoughts on this topic. So this is race 7. Race 7. That's where you could also see it quite well. So now here is the map is a little bit turned upside down. So this corner, and this is a very problematic corner. As you can see here, you have a boundary, and there's a very small gap now here between the marks, between the mark 2. Oh, we were at gate 1 and 2. So, and that's where a lot of boats were getting the penalty by actually entering in the zone over here. So let's watch mark race 7. Yeah, actually, I think it was continuation of here. Yes. So this is the corner of the Shark Island. And over here, this is the edge of the obstructions. Where was the... Yeah, so let me see. I think it's maybe not these boats, but these boats got in here, but I think GBR here and France. Let's see if the GBR here, they were really lucky with it on the finals with this corner. But let's see. I think they were also they all managed over here to pass on this. Oh, that was race 6, I think, where you got these penalties. Let's watch race 6. Okay, now this is the problematic corner. I think the boundary goes somewhere till somewhere over here. And then you just really need to sort of almost, you don't want to tack in this corner because then you overstood. And then there is a lift. There is always a possibility actually just to have a lift over here. And so that's why you really want to just call your tack so that you are getting the lift, but estimating that lift so that you actually will thread that needle in between the island, that's amazing. And here I would be really interested to watch what is inside the settings of the boat, because a lot of them are also going into the pinch mode. I think the only way that you can maybe from these things is just to see using the speed. This is kind of like a safe approach over here, because when they went around the right turn mark and arrived here, they can jibe really on the lay. Okay, so these boats are lifted. Oh, maybe it's not this one. Yeah, maybe that's the case when two boats got the penalty. So now they jibed, or they tacked, sorry, early. Let's see when they. So a lot of boats tacked over here, and then they're all expecting a lift to let them pass between the Shark Island and the Mark One. So like they over here. These boats are coming at a pretty good speed, 56, 57. There. So as you can see, like, for example, look at the speed of Brazil now over here compared to Australia, right? So 42 versus 60. So clearly Brazil now here has been on the pinching. So and the Brazil you can see, oh, the Australia you can see the course is just like that. Also Denmark is still on the pinching, 38, very, very slow. So Brazil will, I think, gonna get into the zone and then they will get the penalty. Germany, 40, still decent. 30, they basically 28 really come off foils here, Brazil. Yeah, Brazil is in H1 mode, one hull in the water. Yes, here you can see but there was a penalty now given to Brazil. And Switzerland also over there. So they both actually had this boundary. And the best way also to watch it, I think, if you watch it live, just go to SailGP Insight. You can also have the alerts. That's where you can see all the signals from the from the umpire, like what the penalty for, and if somebody protests whom, so you can see it all in there. So yeah, this was, I think, an interesting feature that I just wanted to basically share, is that it's always in here. It looked like this was, I think that when the wind is coming now from this southerly wind, kind of like maybe yeah, so I think again, if anybody from Sydney here can also explain what exactly the wind is doing here, that would be great. But I'm not exactly sure what is on the land over here, what gives that features. Is this a hill also over here or not? No, I think it's not. But anyway, what is clearly here was noticeable that there was like a if there is a wind hit over here, which probably I think it might be that it's not even a turn in the wind, but when there is a gust coming from the island over here, once you hit here, you will have a nice lift. And the only thing is that really depends on the strategist role and tactician is when do you call if you need to tack over here or over here, because if you overstay, yes, it's much more safer. But if, and that's what the GBR I think did very brilliantly in the final race, you can see that they really hit it exactly so that they passed just a few meters of it. Um, and yeah, but that's an interesting like feature over here, because also if the gusts are not coming over here, you pretty much need to keep on pinching and in a slow mode just to be able to pass. And as you can see, these boats, uh, yeah, they're very slow with pinching. So let's look how this. Here you can basically see the tracks. So I think if you go here, if you make a right turn mark and pass very close to the northern side of the Shark Island where the start is, then you have possibility to come a little bit more closer and make a little bit more later tack. Um, and be able just to lay it quite safely. However, if you make a left turn at the gate, then you arrive over here next to the boundary and you are just forced to tack, and then you're just hoping that you are getting that path. So as you can see here at the boundary, Australia and Switzerland were able to make it, but Denmark was clearly probably here at risk. And left turn, right turn at the mark is a bit more safer over here. Okay, the final thing, let's look how GBR again was played that shift and how they actually, because they came here with this left turn gate and they had to call the tack close to the boundary, or maybe before the boundary was their call, or they were just forced and became lucky of passing here. Let's watch. So that's exactly the situation when Canada is rounding. The GBR will need to jibe and take the left turn gate. Now they take a left turn gate. And I think, yeah, that was here. It was really quite good that they were also lifted quite well here. Again, really bad. We don't have access to the umpire app here. It's very difficult to see if GBR, how close they are to the gate and if they have to tack. If it was their choice or was it, did they just tack at the boundary, or was it this really like nice call? It looks by the boats over here that it's very close to the boundary. Yeah, they tacked pretty much close to the boundary. So I think it was also a little bit of luck over there that they had, because now, as you can see, that's exactly when they are passing that island. And yes, GBR is going into the pinching modes. The speed dropped below 40. Canada is able, because they took the right turn mark, they are able just to have a little bit more better angle on the starboard tack. GBR is barely making here, like, pinching. And here they really passed within meters, 39. And because now also they are planning to lay to this mark, which is also very tricky. At least now they can go a little bit lower and faster. Okay. All right. We watch these things. I think that is it for today. So if you have any thoughts or anything like that, so you can rewatch it rewatch it here at YouTube. So when it comes online, for now, it's kind of just only first today. I just streamed it only for on the Patreon, so it will come at certain point later. Not sure when I will have time to get it to the maybe later this week before the Los Angeles SailGP event. So, but again, like this is where I put all on the Patreon. I put all of the things right away in time. So if you have any comments, leave it either on the Patreon or YouTube, or just check the TikTok or Instagram. I don't use much of the Facebook, but if any of you there, so you can actually just follow me there because I have like ridiculously small amount of followers there and I cannot stream online there. So go ahead and help me out to follow. Maybe then I will be able to stream because you need to have something like 100 users to stream, and yeah, I haven't been using the Facebook for quite a while. So, but yeah, I think that pretty much brings me now to the end of it. To cover all, we have a quite big backlog of the situations, but they I think were a little bit not that exciting. So I'll just keep it there. Maybe we'll cover them in some other time when we have. But hopefully next one will be in a week now in Los Angeles. Hopefully we'll bring some good situations. So all right, next time. So next time you see me streaming, the goggles on. So you know we're gonna again discuss some SailGP situation. All right, until next time now.